Welcome to the Quota Podcast. I'm Dylan Fole.
And I'm Gavin Malcolm.
Our guest tonight is Oscar Marquez, an awesome BMX rider, super good friend.
This guy is so talented and so smart, and we get to talk real deep about some of the things that are important to him, and then we tell some wild stories, so enjoy.
Thank you guys for having me here.
Oscar's car broke down
But
on the way here.
Turns out super easy fix, and now it's not actually broken.
It's kind of broken, I think.
Not totally fixed. What kind of car is it?
So it's a BMW 325i with a S50 M3 engine swap on it. So it's it's a decently fast car. It's not a fast car.
What year is it?
It's a 1989.
1989.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
So
pretty sweet looking.
it's 6 years older than me. That's the oldest car I've ever owned.
That's funny.
Have you guys ever owned older cars?
No, I've made it all the way to 94, and I was born in 92, so I've gotten close.
Yeah,
nothing
my
yet.
first car was a 94.
Yeah. Was that the Outback?
No, I didn't know you then. It was a 94 Ford Probe.
Whoa. What?
Yeah.
That's a collector's now. You should have kept it.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish I would have. I sold it for $200, and I'm so
What?
bummed at myself for doing that.
Yeah.
Because
I wish I had my minivan still. I did sell that for a profit, though. I bought that for like $700 from Andrew's mom, and then sold it to a kid I worked with for like a little over $1,000.
wow.
After I put 50,000 miles and 0 oil changes on
Holy
it.
shit. Well, that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
Not really, but yeah.
Shout out to the Ford Windstar. That thing was awesome.
Hey, they run.
So,
They run for a long time.
so this is your second BMW, though, right?
Yeah, that's my second BMW. It's my fourth car ever in my life. My first car was cool. My first car was a Ford Ranger. That thing was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it was tiny. It had a 4-cylinder, but I'd take it to the mountains every single time like I could. I remember one time I seen Trey post that he was going to Woodward Copper.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right. I pack up my bike, same instant. I'm just like, yep, I'm going to Copper. My brother's like, hey, where you going? I'm going to the mountains to ride the bike. And I'm like, wait, but it's snowing everywhere. I'm like, no, it's good. We're going to the indoor skate park. Where? I'm like, up in the mountains. And he's like, he's never been to Copper. That was actually my first time ever going to Copper. So I just put on the GPS, and there we go. We're going up to the mountains, and I run out of windshield wiper fluid.
Oh.
So I'm just like, holy crap, what should I do? I'm just like, I see a semi, I just get behind it. So I'm just like rolling up behind the semi with my head out the window just to like make sure I'm not going off track and stuff. And so I make it to Silverthorne, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, by windshield fluid, and there we go. We make it up to Copper and stuff. And we ride for good 6 hours.
That's a session right there. Damn.
Yeah, a good 6 hours, and we're all psyched and stuff, and we're going back. And then my mom calls me. She's getting off work, and she's like, hey, where you guys at? I'm like, we're at the skate park. And she's like, oh, at the skate park? And yeah, it's an indoor skate park. We're going home now. So she didn't think anything of it. I didn't tell her we were at the mountains because she'd freak out. So there we go. We actually struggled to start the truck. Like, we were
Just
there.
because it's so cold?
Because it was so cold out there. It was negative 14.
Jeez. Was it a manual or an automatic? I feel like that makes a big difference in that.
It was an automatic. And
Oh.
so Dan Animal had to jump my battery and stuff, and so we got the truck going, and we're driving, and then I missed the exit for Frisco to pumping gas, and I'm freaking out because I have no more gas, and like, so once I'm going up a hill, I'm just like, okay, cool, I made it. And then right up the hill, I would put it in neutral, so like it's not, so I try to save gas and stuff. And holy crap, it was the craziest moment because I was just freaking out. And all of a sudden, the truck would swerve a couple times. And because there was so much snow, it was probably a foot or two of snow.
Well, and when you don't have any power, you can't do anything about it, right? Like, you're really basically just truck sledding at that point. Like, like you might as well be on skis, because that's how you get yourself out of trouble, is you pull yourself straight again.
Yeah.
And there's not even any gas stations on the other side of the tunnel for a long time.
The whole way, all the way down to, like, the dinosaur lot.
No, Georgetown.
Oh, I guess that's right.
I made it to a Valero, like, before these Swan Lakes.
Yeah, Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
Georgetown. Yeah, so that's where I made it.
You made it.
But before I made it, I had crashed.
What?
And I nearly killed myself and my brother. It was gnarly because...
Does your mom know about this?
She does.
Okay.
She does because she had to pick us up.
Oh, no way.
But wait. After I pumped gas, I still kept driving for a little while before they had to pick us up.
So, what kind of a crash? Like, did you just, like, hit the guardrail, or?
Yeah, so the crazy part is I hit the last 20 foot of guardrail there was before a cliff.
Oh.
So we're driving. I seen this little Subaru, like this little old Legacy, and I passed it. I seen these cars, these 4x4. My little Ranger was rear wheel drive on slick tires.
You did that in a rear wheel drive Ranger?
You were probably 16 and never driven? You don't know
I was like
about
about 17, 16.
Yeah, but
16
this
actually.
is your first time driving in the mountains. You don't know anything.
Yep.
Oh.
And so my friend and I, my friend Julio, we'd go sliding the trucks because he had a truck as well. We'd go slide the trucks in the parking lots and stuff just to like...
Yeah.
It was fun, like a little snow drifting. And
well, and they're great for it. I bet that Ranger crushed it because it's short wheelbase and there's no weight over
it. Boom, it's sliding in a heartbeat.
Don't get caught doing that, by the way. You got to go to court.
Yeah, as it turns out.
You will. I already did it.
Dylan too. 2 for 3 is not bad.
Hey. 2 out of 3 people.
Just wait.
Don't you put that on me.
Don't you get rid of your front wheel drive Focus.
Dude, that thing is so good at drifts in the snow because the e-brake, you can just lock it up. Yeah. It's like the most controlled drifting.
But it's not a power drift. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I've linked corners before in that thing.
All right, that's impressive.
This thing drifts. The new BMW I got drifts. It's
like nice. On dry?
On dry.
Oh.
But it's got the differential started clicking when I got here. That's why I say it's probably still broken.
Oh.
And the tranny was making noises too.
Actually, I did hear that. I was riding my bike around just like waiting for Oscar, and so I genuinely thought that the garage gate had like closed on his car because of the metal crunching sound.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And I look over and he's just shit-eating grin. Yeah. Just like, that's my transmission.
Yeah, it's either transmission. Well, both things I think are messed up.
Jeez.
But, I mean...
At least you're pretty handy, though.
Yeah, the differential, I just swapped the fluid and the gasket today, or it was a 2-day process, so I finished yesterday. Well, let's keep going with the Ford Ranger story.
Yeah, I want to hear about this crash almost off of a cliff.
I slid a couple times, and just from, like, snow drifting, I knew where I was. I knew how to save the slide and, like, get back into traction and stuff. And probably slid 3 times before I crashed. Okay, so the 4th time is the crash. Like, I probably swayed 6 times, one side to the other side, about 6 times, and I got it back going straight, and I let my guard down. I'm just like, okay, we got this. And then it took a real sharp right all of a sudden. I'm just like, oh crap. And then I just see the guardrail and I see where it ends, and boom. I don't remember anything from the crash. I just remember my brother freaking out, crying, trying to wake me up. And he's like, hey, yo, hey, wake up.
So you just smashed into the guardrail, like, head on?
Yep.
You didn't slide on it?
No, head on, like, straight on it. Like,
oh, my God.
I T-boned the guardrail.
Oh.
And I wake up. My brother's freaking out. There's a bunch of cars just passing us, just like, all right, whatever.
I love that no one stopped. That's insane that no one
I mean, if there's a foot or 2 of snow, it's kind of a tricky situation.
Yeah.
If I watched 2 kids smash into a guardrail head on,
and I
hope I would stop.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think...
You're just going to get slammed into is the issue because some other person out of control, you get out of your car, they're going to hit you.
It's a little more dangerous and stuff.
It sucks, but...
That's reality. It's like...
I'm glad you're... So, yeah, you wake up, you come to...
Yes, we're alive. So I wake up, my brother's crying, freaking out. I'm just, like, trying to, like, get back to normal, and I'm just, all right. I'm just, like... Is the bike still in the trunk?
Yeah.
I swear, that's what I said. And then my brother skateboards, and he was like, yeah, I think everything's still in the trunk. And he's like, getting back to normal. Like, he stopped freaking out. He was crying. He thought I was dead or something. You know, the crazy thing is the airbag didn't deploy or anything. I just hit straight onto the steering wheel.
That's insane. Were you wearing a seatbelt?
Wearing seatbelt and everything.
Jeez.
So... I get out.
Clutch that you were wearing the seatbelt if the airbag didn't go off, because you would have probably just smashed into the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I try to turn it over, and it doesn't want to turn on. It doesn't want to turn on. It just goes. Like, oh my God, come on. I just kept trying and kept trying, and I tried to open the trunk. I got out, and the trunk was all smashed. I couldn't get it up.
So the hood?
Yeah, trunk. Sorry. English is my second language, so.
Yeah, it's fair.
So, yeah, I tried to open the hood and couldn't open it, and I get it to turn over. I'm like, turns on, boom.
Yeah.
We're like, all right. So we keep driving, and all of a sudden, so the bumper is rubbing against my right tire. End links were broken on the front suspension, and so we make it to the gas station.
Jeez.
And then my parents call me again, and they're like, hey, what time are you guys going to get here? I'm just like, maybe half an hour. And like, where are you guys at? Kind of close to the mountains. I didn't tell them we're at the mountains yet.
Yeah. Or that you just...
Or that I had crashed.
Drove off a cliff.
And so we keep driving, and like try to have the tire like not rub against the bumper and stuff. And eventually the tire popped.
Yeah.
So I slide. I did about 2 360s, and
jeez.
I am like, oh crap, we're gonna crash into the mountain now.
Yeah, dude, with no tire, gosh.
We're gonna crash into the mountain.
No tire, no gas, no problems. Oscar Marquez.
Yeah, so we make it. The grass stopped us like somehow, and we didn't hit the mountain, and like.
Well, I'm sure the wheel just dug in. And
yeah, I think the wheel just dug in and stuff. So, the car's still on and stuff. The truck's still on. So we're just chilling, and I'm just like trying to like think, what should I do now? Like, should I pull out the spare?
Yo.
And I try to pull out the spare. I actually pull out the spare and everything, but the bumper was so crushed, I couldn't take out the regular wheel.
Oh, no kidding. Even just on the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, yeah, the tire dug into the bumper, and they were all, like, stuck together. And I'm, like, punching it with my foot, kicking it with my foot, and I couldn't get it out. I'm just like, crap. All right, so, like, we have gas now, so we don't got to worry about it because we pumped gas in Georgetown?
Yeah.
Before the 2 lakes or something like that. And so we're chilling right there, and all of a sudden our battery dies, like just like shuts off. Like we're like, holy crap! Like it was negative 14 when we left, and when we got to that part of the mountain, our phone said it was negative 18.
Jeez.
And we were running out of battery, and I'm like, all right. I called my parents, and they're on their way, and they're trying to find us and stuff, and I'm just like, holy crap, I should find some road signs. So I just walk up like 3/4 of a mile to like, I find there's a sign, it says Beaver Creek and Floyd Hill.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, we're like about almost a mile from Beaver Creek and Floyd Hill. Once you guys see that sign, there's a little ramp, and then you guys could get back onto I-70 East, and you guys probably find us. And then this state trooper like rolled up, and he's like, "Are you guys okay?" And I'm just like, yeah, we're okay. Everything's good. And we have a towing truck on the way, but we really didn't. We just didn't want him to like.
Yeah, be weird about it.
Yeah. So he's
Trying
like,
to
all right,
ball on
cool.
the budget.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, cool. And he left.
That's crazy.
There's a little bit more to that story, but.
That's awesome, man, that you're alive.
Yeah.
That is like the craziest thing that you just straight up head-on into a Jersey barrier
Totally.
on a cliff. I had no idea that you had done that. So stoked that I eventually got to meet you because you were a kid when that happened. I didn't know you.
It's gnarly.
Yeah, so for those who don't know Oscar Marquez, the coolest dude I know, God, I've just been mesmerized by that swoop on the hair. This guy's always got on-point hair.
Nah.
Yeah.
It's not on point. It's just.
It's on punto. But
It's just that
for
Mexican hair.
those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself so that everyone listening can kind of get to know you. Now that they genuinely are excited that you're with us.
Cool. All right. So, I'm a kid from Mexican parents that was born in Arizona and raised in Mexico. I really wish. Well, while I lived in Mexico, I was like, I want to be a pro BMX rider. I remember I used to go to a friend's house and watch
No way.
Fuel TV, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my god! Like I see them ride Woodward and stuff. All these guys, I'm just like, oh my god! If it were only just possible to be able to do that. And one day we came to the U.S. We came back. I'm a U.S. citizen, and like boom, went to school and stuff. And I'm just like got a bike off the thrift store, off of Goodwill.
Yeah,
Hello,
you got a
Red
Goodwill
Next.
BMX bike.
Yes.
That's what's up, dude.
So I remember taking that pedal brake off and stuff, and I'm just like figuring out how to make it more like BMX, and not a Walmart BMX
Yeah.
bike. And all of a sudden,
I think we all did that at some point.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
whether
for
it's
sure.
like painting it a certain color or making sure the seat is all the way slammed.
all the way
and-
slammed.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
turn the Walmart bike into a.
I remember getting a Walmart bike because it was right when Free Coasters started, was when I started riding bikes. And I found out that you could turn one of those like pedal brakes into a Free Coaster, like a super ghetto one, and trying to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that was crazy. I remember making a couple of those, and like I remember locking up. I remember them locking up on me and
Yeah.
like not being able to.
Yeah,
Listen
they
to-
broke pretty quick.
They're good for about a week, and then they get you.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I mean after that, moved into a place where the local crack dealer downstairs.
what?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say his name, but his
Yeah.
name's Jerome.
Yeah.
Nah, he was cool. He was cool, dude. But he did sell weed and stuff. He gave me a bike. He threw it
No
to the
way.
trash. He threw it to the trash. He had a Schrin bike with no wheels. He had forks, bars, and a frame. It was a Schrin TJ11.
What?
And
That's awesome.
Wait, so did he give it to you, or he threw it in the trash?
he threw it in the trash. And then like, he seen me like jumping like over pallets and stuff. And he was like, "Hey, I just threw a bike on the trash." And he went over to the trash, pulled it out, and he's like, "Do you think you fix it? You make it right again?" I'm like, maybe. So I took that bike to in front of our porch. It was weird because it's one of those like duplex, but it's not a duplex because it's a 5.
Yeah, like a condominium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where there's a bunch of houses or like apartments.
Apartments. So I put it out there against the fence and locked it up and stuff so no one would take it.
Even though it didn't have wheels.
And I didn't have wheels.
So
Just
are you in
case.
Colorado at this point?
I'm in Colorado at this
Okay.
point. So that's my first 3 years in Colorado. Or no, I'm wrong. That's my first year. Because
Alright.
at my first 3 years, I remember there's another guy. He sold me a Eastern Grim Reaper with 3 cracks on it for $25.
Dude,
It was
that is not shocking that it had 3 cracks in it. I think I broke
Mhm.
4 of those frames.
so I got it welded. I went to this electrical shop and we got it welded, and it was crazy because they had all these bubbles and stuff because the dude welding it, like he only welded like exhaust
Well, this is like a paper thin bike frame that weighed 3 pounds. Or whatever.
And like, I'm sure the guy like it's dirty metal because of the paint and powder. Like that's such a crazy thing to try and weld. I mean, it's literally like trying to weld a Coke can. That frame was so thin.
Yeah. So, yeah, I get this bike to work because it uses sealed bearings for the cranks and it uses sealed bearings for the headset.
That's so clutch.
I just put loose bearings from a headset onto the headset, from like a regular headset to like an integrated headset frame. And so I grabbed the cups from my old frame for the headset and I smashed those in to the bottom bracket.
What?
Yes, and I'm riding with the tiny bearings for headsets on a BMX bike.
That is
so
nuts.
It was really ghetto.
That is the coolest story. That's amazing.
That worked. I mean,
yes, it worked. I have pictures somewhere in Facebook, in my old Facebook account, where I have pictures of it.
Please send that to us so we can show that. Like, we'll flash it on the screen. You've officially beaten JT for like the craziest modification to a bike, because one time he used a zip tie as a headset spacer for quite some time, but smashing an old headset bearing because it's not the right size bearing.
Mm-hmm. I had to.
How did you get that to work?
I had to put tape over it. Like, I didn't smash the bearing. So you guys know the cups for for the headsets.
When they were unsealed, there was like a cup you pressed into the frame.
Yes. So I pulled those cups out. I put tape over it, and then that's how I smashed it to like make it fit the diameter. The circumference
diameter.
So
a tape and bearing.
That is the most magnificent thing. That's something that I think I want everyone to experience, is that action sports mentality of I need to ride this bike so badly. I will ghetto rig anything to get this to work, because I feel like I don't know a single BMX rider or even skateboarder who's like, yeah, I just rode like wheels with no bearings for a while or like crazy stuff just because you needed that.
You needed
fix.
to do it, yeah. I mean, there's so many crazy things I've done to my bike just to be able to ride it one session, because a lot of the modifications I've done to it to work have only lasted me one session.
Yeah.
In all fairness, you have a really aggressive session. Like, an Oscar Marquez BMX session is like 12 of my sessions.
I did break one of my Laird frames 4 months in just a practice session in Mexico. So this for the BMX Pro Latin Cup.
You broke your frame down there.
Yes. It was broken like tinfoil. Like literally, I've never seen a frame break like that in my life. No,
the only time I've done something similar was on that same Grim Reaper frame, and I got hit by a FedEx truck.
Oh, dang.
And it turned it into like a piece of licorice on the down tube, and it literally was like all twisted and warped. Yeah. That's nuts.
4 months. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even know. I finished my practice. I was about 30 minutes practicing, and literally I finished the practice and my frame was cracked, and I didn't know till I grabbed my bike and tried to go to the hotel. I felt the crack. I'm just like, and then I looked at it and I'm like, I'm so mad. I'm just real pissed, because like
there's nothing you can do at that point. You're
and like
in Mexico, contest is in no time.
And this thing is like it's a custom frame to all my specs. So like to find a frame like that, I would never find one there. And luckily I had a friend that let me borrow one of his frames, but he's a taller guy. He's like, man, take my bike apart, do it. He has a 21.25 top tube.
Oh wow, that's for a giant person. I bet you probably ride an inch shorter
my goodness,
frame.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So back to, I want to hear more about you growing up in Colorado, because it sounds like that was like the craziest thing. You finally get this thing rideable.
It's rideable. And then my hub breaks. So the little spring, have you guys seen the Odyssey little springs?
Yeah.
That they're just a little wire. So I grab an Allen wrench and I'm trying to make a spring out of something. I tried like all kinds of stuff already.
Yes.
And I couldn't find anything. And I'm just like, I see these Allen wrenches and I see the spring wired around them just so you could put them into a O-ring like for keys.
Mm-hmm.
And I take it apart and like I stretch it. I'm like, okay, it goes back to like to its form. I'm like, and I straighten it out and I try to make a circle and it worked. It worked for one session.
That is
And then-
amazing. That you put in 4 hours of work to get that hub to work for like a 3-hour session. That's hilarious.
It's gnarly. So it broke.
Of course,
I did the same thing. But this time I put a little bit of oil and went with the lighter on it till it turned hot red. And then I'm just like, let it get back to normal. And it cracked. I'm just like, I try it one more time and it gets back to hot red. And then I push it as far as I can. It goes back to the same like form. I'm just like, what? I just put it on and it sounds just like a profile. And so it's really, really loud. And
that is so ridiculous.
it lasted me forever until like one day it was rainy and stuff. And like, I guess it snowed a little bit and people thought like it was going to snow real bad. So they start throwing salt and then the salt got into the hub and stuff. It got all rusted and cracked.
Jeez.
So that's after like 3 years like of running it like
kids, you don't have to always have the craziest, nicest parts. Like, that is such a perfect example of like, if you want to ride, there are no excuses. If you want to do anything, there are no excuses. Like, I talk to people all the time who they want to get into something, right? Whether it's painting or hiking or BMX or something, and they're always just like, oh, I don't have exactly the right stuff that I would want, or I don't have the best tools or the best equipment. And to get started, like now, that probably would be hard to ride with, and it probably wouldn't last as long because you've progressed so much in your BMX that you're just harder on parts. But what easily could have been an excuse or a reason to stop or to give up on BMX or to be like, oh, I don't have enough money to buy parts, it forces you to be creative. And I think that kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, has shown up in your riding as well as probably other areas of your life where even on your way here, you like got creative to solve the problem of your car, and you found this magic switch that was the radiator fan, and all of a sudden your car works again.
Works and we're good.
Whereas I think most people might give up in a situation like that, and I think that's super highly recommendable, or not recommendable, just impressive.
And like,
have you always had that mentality of like, I'm going to try and solve
I've always had that mentality of I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure something out, because my mom's always been like that. My mom and my dad, like,
so you get it from your folks.
Yes. They've like taught me like never give up, because there's always a solution. Like, life is only like, everything in life is mechanical. It's like, it's fixable. It's fixable, except death.
Which
even death.
Then you don't even have to worry about it because you're dead. Yeah, I love that. My dad, growing up, always told me anytime I'd start like my hub breaks or something, he's like, it would drive me crazy as a kid, and now I'm so grateful for it. He would always say, there are 3 solutions. You might not like them all, but there are at least 3 solutions to your problem. If it was, I wanted a new bike part, or I wanted anything, or something broke, or literally any time I was complaining, he would just walk up and say, there are at least 3 solutions to your problem. If you're willing to think, there are at least 3. And once, you would obviously come up with like 3 just to spite, right? Like, oh, I could, blah, 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 blah. And then after you'd say like the 3 terrible ideas that obviously you would never do, all of a sudden the switch would flip and the light would turn on. You'd be like, actually,
I could do this.
I could take apart the Allen wrenches and use the spring from that. And all of a sudden, right, like some sort of weird solution like that would pop up.
There's definitely a lot of weird solutions to life, because you don't necessarily have to have the right thing to make something work.
Yeah.
You know, another example, like my mom's always been the positive side of encouragement to like get past obstacles, and my dad's kind of been the negative side of encouragement to get past obstacles, because my dad's always been the one that's like, oh, you can't do it. Like
like he challenges you.
Yes.
Instead
So
of
now
you.
I'm gonna show him like, okay, I can do this. I
What
remember.
a cool dynamic.
I remember as during that time of that red bike, that Shrin that I got from the crack dealer.
Yeah.
I was trying to learn foot jam tail whips, so
Okay.
I screwed up my back rim that I put on it. Like
Yeah.
it was messed up, and so I was taking it apart, and my dad's like saying, "Hey, what are you doing to the wheel?" I'm like, "I'm trying to put this rim on this wheel on this hub," and he's like, "But you can't do that. You're not a bike mechanic." I'm like, "Well, why not? Like, once all those spokes go loose, you're not gonna be able to put them back together." I'm like, "Well, I'll try to figure it out," and he was right for the first 3 days. I gave up.
Yeah.
I gave up, and
For those who don't know, lacing a hub to a wheel of a BMX bike, or any bike for that matter, is genuinely difficult, especially if you don't have someone who knows what they're doing teaching you how to do it.
it has a correct pattern that it has to follow.
Yeah.
And
And everything has to be the right
Like
length.
now
and-
with the
yeah.
internet, you can like follow along on YouTube, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, or take anyone in a million tutorials. But trying to figure it out on your own,
is gnarly.
yeah.
So after the third day, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta ride my bike. What I do, I'm just like, why didn't I ever look at my front rim? I pull out my front rim, and then I'm following the steps from my front rim. And there's the crazy thing, because I have a 36 spoke back wheel, and the rim I'm trying to put on it is a 48 spoke.
Oh, so the pattern's
So
different.
The pattern's different. And I still do it. I still, like, it's kind of weird, and it worked. I told my dad, look, I'm not a bike mechanic, but I just did it. And that's happened with so many things, like, in life that my dad challenges me. Like, when I remember taking apart my car head cover.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? No, I'm just like, don't worry. YouTube is my friend.
Dude, YouTube is like the most unbelievable assistant. Anything. Like nowadays, there really is 3 solutions to every problem, because you can YouTube. You could type anything into YouTube, and I promise there's a how-to. I've been like super specific about like a weird off-brand car with an off-brand problem, and there's someone who's filmed it and put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I think it's pretty cool that you've had both the encouragement and the challenge, because I think a lot of people growing up only end up with one, right? Like, I had a lot of encouragement as a kid, but I didn't get a lot of the I bet you can't in like a healthy way, like your dad, where like, you're crazy, man, you can't get that back together. It's like an offer to be challenged, right? It's something to prove him right, not because he doesn't want you to prove him wrong. It's because he wants to see the best come out of you, and it's like a challenge. I think that's something really unique and special that you have, and it explains a lot about the awesome person that you are, because you are the most encouraging, supporting person, and also the most competitive, and it's so cool to see how far that's been able to push you.
I mean, like, I wish it was kind of like that, but my dad just grew in, like, a sour family.
Okay.
So he's picked up some of that sourness, and it's like when he tells me I can't do something, it's like he really actually thinks I can't do it. So, like, I mean, with my dad, it's
Yeah. So maybe the intent wasn't there, but the results.
The results were there.
You got that.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'd rather not talk about my dad.
Dude. No, I mean, let's push into the next subject is natural, and we'll kind of shoehorn it in anyways. But talking about Oscar as like an awesome individual, I met you riding BMX with Yellow Designs, And what's super fun about Oscar, I've known this guy for several years now. And if a smile could be a human being, it was this guy. He, true story, I remember riding with him for the first time. And this guy, he shows up and right away, he just fit into the crew. He was just smiling. He was fired up. And even more impressively, this Oscar is one of those people who, if he says he's going to do something, he is going to do it, which is the greatest. Like, growing up in as a white kid in Parker, there wasn't ever any accountability, right? Like, anyone I knew could be like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then never do it, and there was never any consequences, and there was never any, like, accountability there. I've never once seen Oscar not do something that he said he was going to do. Totally. Literally, if it was trying a trick, if it was getting a car, if it was getting a new frame, if it was coming to a party, like, literally I've never once not seen Oscar hold his word. I think that I'd like to hear, anyways, some stories of that insane, tenacious commitment you have when it comes to bike riding, because I know that you have a lot of stories when it comes to, like, overcoming that fear and, like,
it's crazy.
I said I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, just, like, seeing stuff happen, like, how people, like, do it and, like, their motives to doing stuff. And I have one of the weirdest motives, and that's more like, essentially, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
We're all gonna die. So why back out from something? Because having fear of getting hurt, having the fear of not being able to do it. I mean, I'm gonna do something when I say I'm gonna do something, because at one point
it's all over.
It's all over.
Yeah.
It's in a blink, it all ends. So, I mean, I mostly every day I try to, like, overcome every challenge I have, because there might not be another day, and I might have not enjoyed the day, my last day, as much as I would have if I would have overcame that challenge.
Yeah. Because there is something so joyful and so, like, euphoric about overcoming something that even you were kind of like, I don't know if I can get past this, right? Like, all the challenges where I really didn't think I could fix it, going back to your, like, I'm going to be able to fix anything mentality. I remember, like, I rolled my truck and it was ruined and I couldn't sell it, and I was weighing the hole in the thing and I really loved it. So what was I going to do? And kind of coming up with a loose game plan of, I bet this might work. And then all of a sudden, flash forward to, it's fixed. It looks better than before. It has a sunroof now.
No.
And I've, like, made this thing happen. And that, to this day, gives me, like, joy that I don't think you can find anywhere else. There's something so special about overcoming something like you're talking about, of why would I not at least try and overcome the challenge? Because it's all going to, I mean, at one point we're all gone anyways, so why not give it 100%? Because this is my only shot to give it 100%.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can't live saying, oh, I could do it tomorrow. There might not be tomorrow.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the whole dinosaur apocalypse could happen again. Or,
something crazy.
Something crazy. So you can't just take the chance and, like, of waiting for the next day. You have to take the chance at the moment.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then, like, even still, like, if the world doesn't end and you're still good, you might have not been, like, able to go back to it and, like, actually do it.
Yeah, that's something I've actually been thinking about a lot, going back to BMX, because we're all part of this weird BMX family.
Yeah.
I've been realizing now, it kind of making amends, or, like, coming to terms with my BMX career, of saying, like, I don't want to be a professional rider. It's not something I have a goal to be. I'd like to be a full-time rider, which is I have enough money coming in from other things that I can ride whenever I want. But that being said, I'm also far less interested in getting hurt now that I'm getting older and I'm married. And there's a lot of things there. Though now, thanks to my wife, I have health insurance, so get married, everybody. It's
health
the best.
Insurance.
Yeah,
oh, my
dude.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'm already like, I've got a list of surgeries.
Yes.
We're going for the smallest deductible so that I can just like max it out one year and just go crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's so funny because now with that same mentality of like, I'm not going to get chances every single day to scratch certain itches when it comes to BMX. This trick or that gap or this skate park. And it's so weird really evaluating life through that lens of today might be the last day. It might not be. It's more than likely not going to be. But I want to make sure that I really squeeze everything I can out of today. And how that showed up in my riding. Like a lot of weird tricks, like I still want to do a flip whip for real, like not to a resi. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to trying this year. And like a lot of things that I'm trying to get done now. Because at some point, you might not actually, you might still be alive. My real fear is to be alive, but not have the chance to do something that I could have.
Yes. That's one thing I always talk with my dad about. He wanted me to be a bank accountant or doctor or something like that.
Something more professional.
Yes.
Or like,
and I'm like
white collar.
I'm not gonna do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm smart. I'm really, really smart, and I could do it if I want to, but I'm not gonna do it. I don't want it. I don't have any sort of desire to do it at this time. I'm young and I like what I do on my bike, and I'm happy what I'm doing on my bike and stuff. So yes, I'm not gonna go to college. I'm not gonna go do all this stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you're making a big mistake and whatever." Okay, whatever. I told him. I'm pretty sure that my brain and everything's still gonna be pretty good when I'm 40. So if I decide to go to college, I'll go when I'm 40.
Yes. I couldn't be more on board with that because I think too many people try and go through life using their head as the only true north of their compass. And you are such a great example of someone who uses their heart as their compass. You do a lot of things specifically because your heart tells you it's what you're supposed to be doing, and you listen to it better than I think most people do. And I think that's such a big part of Joy Quota and making sure that you're really going to look back on your life feeling fulfilled. And I would love to hear more about just what that looks like for you, because now that you brought it up, you listen to your heart more than your head, or maybe not more than, but if you had to rank them, like it goes heart then head.
Yes,
right? Like,
most definitely.
My heart's telling me I should do this, and then my head figures out how I can follow it. Like they're working as a team instead of it has to be one or the other. Yeah.
Most definitely. If there's something I want to do and that's what I want to do, I will do it. I will definitely do it. I have no problem telling the people at work, "Hey, peace."
Yeah.
Like literally just like that. I remember working at a gym and these guys were like, "Hey, we're going to have to change your schedule and stuff." And I'm like, "There's a contest coming up." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I can't do that." I'm just like, "Yep, later."
Yeah.
No 2 weeks, nothing. Boom.
Dude, I respect that because I think culturally that's not something that a lot of people
think is right.
Respect is that voice coming from their heart to tell them, like, this is what I want to do. This is, or more importantly, this is what I need to do, right? Because I feel like even with BMX excluded, there's a lot of examples in your life of where you just listen to your heart instead of your head.
Well, and you have that line, like, this is more important. Like, no matter what, like no job is worth missing this contest. And
No.
that's rad.
Yeah, I respect the absolute bejesus out of that because I think it's rare and I think it's to be admired.
I remember senior year. Trey had gone to California a couple times already. And he was going to California. He told me, "Hey, I'm going to California with AJ." That moment, he told me, he said, "Would you like to come?" And I'm just like, "What dates? What's the date?"
Yeah.
And he tells me, I'm just like, instantly, boom, booked a flight. Like literally 4 to 3 minutes later.
Yes.
So I tell Trey, "Hey, I got my flight already." And he's like freaking out. He's like, "I haven't even told AJ."
Yes. People need people like you in their lives. Someone who makes an honest man out of their hopes and dreams, right?
So
That's awesome.
we tell AJ, AJ's like, "All right, cool. Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Where are you landing?" And he's like, I'm like, LAX. And I'm like, he's like, "Dude, I live in
Wrong
Santa Ana."
airport. Yeah. Wrong airport.
So yeah, sadly, I had AJ go pick me up an hour away in gnarly traffic in California.
Yeah,
So I
I'm sure
went
he was
to the wrong-
pumped.
Yeah, no, he was like, we had such a good session. Like, it was crazy because probably like third day, I concussed myself at Stephen Murray's house. I can't really ride.
Those jumps are huge.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd even drop in.
They're not. They're not actually that
Really?
big. They just look tall because they're kind of
Yeah.
like on a hill.
And every video I've ever seen of them is Larry Edgar riding them. So everything looks monstrous. Where I'm like, wow, I didn't know that jump sent you 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
They don't.
Just for Larry.
Not for you. Yeah.
Not for humans, yeah, exactly.
They are really fun. Like, they're probably the most dirt jumps I've ever hit in my life because you just have to roll and it does its own thing.
That's
I just
cool.
can't ride berms. So
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
Were you there?
I'm pretty sure.
What?
yes, you were there.
Yeah. 'cause
This
he
is
went,
BMX
like,
memory
front tire
happening.
Over the berm and just
Over the
like,
berm?
smashed or something.
And I smashed my head smashed against a tree.
Dude.
I was there.
That's
Yeah,
vicious.
so I go into like Steven's house and like I just go into his bathroom just to like check my face, make sure I don't got like no gnarly cuts. I just had a couple scrapes in my lip.
Yeah,
and
you can't
stuff.
be damaging that moneymaker right there. Oscar's a beautiful man. You can't be wrecking the face.
I'm getting wrinkles now.
It's because you're smiling, though. They're
Yeah,
good
it is.
wrinkles.
Wrinkles. What are you, 21 years old?
Yeah.
I need a shot of Botox.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
Dude, that's crazy.
yeah, it was crazy because I had the most unexpected people like come out here and like try to like, "Hey, are you okay?" Well, not like everybody was like, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah.
But Colton Satterfield is one of like the best mega ramp riders. He like comes up to me really, really worried. He has like triple antibiotic and he's like, "Oh, let me see that cut. Let me clean it up and stuff." And I'm just like, "What?" I'm just like, "This is Colton Satterfield." I'm just like freaking out because like
Try not to fanboy.
Yeah.
Like a hero's patching your face cuts. That's amazing.
Most definitely, he's one of the guys I learned 3 flips because he was one of like, I just seen him do 3 flips all the time. I'm just like, oh, I want to be like him.
Yeah. Dude, how cool is it that Colton's a nice guy? That's awesome. And I think that that's another thing that BMX, like for life lessons, has taught all of us, that you just naturally match and model people around you, right? Like, I see so many people where they want to get into something and they're like, "I don't even know how I'd learn piano." And it's like, well, go find someone who knows how to play piano, dummy. Like, it's not that hard. And I really attribute BMX to that for all of us, where if I wanted to learn something, I just went to whoever could learn that trick. Or I saw someone do something and I was like, well, it clearly can be done, so I'm going to learn it. And I think that's another weird BMX life lesson. That
Still lots of trial and error, as Oscar knows well.
Most
Oscar is one
definitely.
of the best crashers, I guess you could say, or
Yeah, he is just the best at trying things.
He's the best at trying things. Like, that's my favorite is, like, well, it's also scary for anybody watching, but...
It was at first. Now I'm just like, no, Oscar's going to
but...
smash this first try. And the whole... Yeah.
It's like...
And if not, he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I've seen you walk out of crashes that would cripple me. And he's just like, I'm good. I'm going to try it again real quick.
Yeah. I still remember you, Dylan, when we got to Pat Casey's house. So this guy that has he has crazy ramps in his backyard. And I just start riding it like whatever. And Dylan's like, Oscar doesn't need to get used to it. He got used to it the first try. Remember, like, everybody's like, warm up, Oscar. And like, it's weird. Like, I've also taken my riding to a point where like, I'm going to do like what I'm feeling at the moment.
Yeah.
More than what I should.
By moment, it's like literally leaving the lip is when he decides which
yeah.
trick he's going to
Yes.
I was at a skate park today that it's Wheat Ridge Skate Park in Colorado. It's pretty fun. It's a small little skate park, nothing big. And I remember watching Oscar Superman and also flip the 4-foot spine, second run of the day. In the first run, he was like doing other tricks on it. And then he shows up at the skate park and then just drops in and does like an X Games run through this bowl that is super tight, super small, quick transitions. And he just shows up and just, I'm feeling it. And just like whips over the spine one way, does something, comes back, Superman's the spine, and then that's part of his first run. Second run in, he just drops in, flips the spine like 4 feet high, and then just keeps going. And the whole skate park's losing it. Like, what? This is crazy. Yeah, it goes back to that feeling your heart. Like, you are so in tune with the moment and with the present and what you're literally capable of an experience. It's mesmerizing to watch on a bike because, like Dylan said, it's so on the fly and so quick. What's some of your favorite stories from being on your bike? Because I feel like that's brought us all so much joy, and that's all how we met.
Definitely, like, the first time I ever made it to Woodward, like...
That's a big moment for anyone in action sports.
Yes, anybody in action sports. It was crazy. Like, I remember just from being a boy in Mexico who watched that on TV and like never really thought it was possible, kind of like, or it was just like a far reach.
Yeah, it's a pipe dream. You'd never actually make it. It'd be cool, but yeah.
Yeah, like, it'd be cool. And like me being at Woodward, I remember it was during that time I went to California, and yeah, like AJ was like, hey, you guys want to go to Woodward? I'm like, no way, really? I'm just like, yeah. And so we go on the weekend and we go to Woodward, and yeah, I was freaking out, man. Like, it just like makes me think like you can truly accomplish whatever you want in life as long as like you stay in the path. Because I mean, when I was that age and when I was little and stuff, dreaming about going to Woodward, like I never really made it like a goal.
Yeah.
And I accomplished it like without even like setting myself to it.
Yeah, you didn't set like a hard and fast like you just knew that was a dream to ride your BMX bike because you just wanted to, and the natural progression of staying on that path led to the accomplishment of this Woodward dream.
Well, and you I would say you didn't think it was impossible, right? Like, it was just like we've been talking about, like, it is, you don't set it as a goal, but it's just like, you know, that could happen, and then it does.
Yeah. It's crazy because at one point it was like impossible, and at one point I just forgotten about it. I was like, it was whatever, and then I was like, holy crap, I've made it this far. I'm like, it just made me freak out a little bit. I was happy.
It's so funny because that's such a big... Does everyone here remember going to Woodward for the first time? For those who don't know, action sports there's a Disneyland called Woodward, and there's a few locations around the country, and it is the coolest place. It's literally acres of skate parks and foam pits and everything an action sports athlete could ever dream of, and super unique ramps, and it's literally something that if you're in action sports, you know of it and you've dreamt of going. I remember my first, like, walking up to the camp and just being like, I'm here. It was better than every Christmas, everything better than a first kiss. I was just like, I'm here. I'm finally here. Your first time was probably for filming, right, Dylan?
Yeah, it was with AJ. I wasn't like,
but then you're a full adult.
Yeah, I was an adult, so like I didn't have quite the shocking.
There was no like I finally made it to Woodward moment though, even as an adult.
No, not like I definitely thought it was overwhelmed and thought it was cool, but it was like our first time with AJ is like we were working, so it was like we were already signed up for 3 weeks of working, so it was just like kind of a set thing. It wasn't just like we've got 5 days to just take it all in and be overwhelmed and all this. It's like,
yeah, you went there for work, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. So, I feel like something fun that we all have in common is we've all worked for and been a part of the Yellow Designs Stunt Team for quite some time. I'd like to hear a fun story from Yellow Designs.
Oh my God.
There's so many. Yeah, there's so many. But just like, I guess we'll keep it on the Joy Quota theme of like, when you think of Joy Quota and Yellow Designs, I can think of dozens of experiences where, because of Yellow Designs, I've met the Joy Quota. I've raised the bar for what it takes to reach the Joy Quota. I'd love to hear something like that.
Anytime I'm with Yellow, we're meeting Joy Quota.
Yeah.
Yellow, like, the time I've probably like truly been like, holy shit, is this one time we went to Gypsum for some shows out in Gypsum, Colorado in the mountains. And so we were going to stay out there for a little while, and we roll up. We got the cool buzz. We got the ramp in the back. Everybody's looking at us all weird and stuff. I got all kinds of fruits and stuff for the way. Just being out there, like, with Yellow, like, in the mountains, like, riding just a random skate park just for 30 minutes. Like, it was summer, the mountains, the homies. I didn't even ride with pads on.
What?
Like, that's strange to me.
That's saying something.
It's weird. It's hard to explain like how I felt at that moment, because it was worry free. I had no worries. I was just genuinely riding my bike as if I would have like been like a 13-year-old kid wishing he could do all this stuff, but I was able to do all that stuff. So I was just tearing that skate park up, kinda, not really, but
I know
for the most part I was. And that's probably one of the most memorable experiences I've had with Yellow. Like, the show was gnarly. I mean, I didn't have a girlfriend, and all the chicks were like,
yeah, he's a beautiful man. Yeah. Dude, yeah, I know the feeling of Yellow Designs has brought that same experience into my life, where all of a sudden I'm just with my family, my chosen family. It's not the blood family. And all of a sudden,
you're worry free.
Yeah, you're just completely present. You're in the moment. And even if you're not riding like X Games caliber, all of a sudden you just recognize that your body and what your heart and mind and everything is in the same spot, where you're like, oh, I'm going to go ride this ramp and do this trick. And it just happens exactly like you want it to. And then you look over and it's your best friend doing the same thing. And then Yellow's out there doing something, and before long, all of a sudden, you're incapable of thinking or being outside of that moment and that experience. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yellow's definitely one of the people I look up to, like, as not giving up or, like, just being tough. Okay? Just being tough.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm always like, I want to be like Yellow. For a long time, I'm like, I want to be like Hoffman.
Yeah.
And once I met Yellow, I'm like, I want to be like Yellow.
Yeah, he's like a tangible version because you've met him, you've spent time with him, and yeah.
Wait, so he had the actual thought of, I want to be like Yellow. You're considered mini Yellow. Did you have that thought of, I want to be like him, or was it just natural because you looked up to him so much and he kind of like taught you?
So for the viewers or the listeners, we've both had the nickname, Oscar and I both have the nickname of Baby Yellow because we both latched on to Brian Gavigan in a way that most people didn't because we both started doing shows with him so young and just like got embraced into the mess that is the Yellow Designs family.
Your role model was this dude that would try and backflip and land on his head and then get up and like the crowd would be going crazy and then he'd like go pedal at it again, land on his head again, and then get up and like the crowd was going even more crazy. Like, what is this dude doing? And then he'd go and like third try or fourth try, he'd actually pull it, and then everyone would just lose their minds.
Go nuts.
Oh yeah, the place would erupt.
I mean, he's just covered head to toe in blood half the time, and like there was no show that he didn't fall and destroy himself. Like that's just what it was. This is the person that they learned how to ride bikes from.
Yeah, I definitely remember aggressively thinking like, I want to be like Yellow. Because he was the only person I knew who had done anything in BMX. Right? Like, I remember the thought of, I want to ride my bike, I want to do BMX forever, like the moment I saw it. And then a couple months later, I see a Yellow Designs Stunt show, and it's my first experience tangibly with BMX, not just on a TV or something. All of a sudden, I'm literally like shaking hands with some dude who's doing what I've already decided I want to do forever. And he was just so kind and he was so warm and he kind of took me in a way that I don't think I really deserved at the time because I was pretty socially strange and hard to be around. And he just welcomed me in that classic Yellow bear hug. And I definitely remember thinking, I want to be like Yellow, and just that same mentality of I would just throw myself at stuff so aggressively.
Yep.
Well, and he probably saw that in both you guys somehow. Just like these dudes have what it takes to, take over after me or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like he saw that little spark in you guys that like these guys are worth putting on the team, like putting in the time to like.
Oh, that's a really nice thought. That actually like really warms my heart. I'd never thought of it that way, but that's a pretty valid point.
Because why else would you? I mean, for his sake,
Yeah.
Why else?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I feel like we've both had the same starting point of like we meet Yellow and we're like, wow, I want to be this guy. And then we've both kind of taken it different directions is in terms of like our riding styles, which is kind of interesting, like the nature versus nurture concept. Like if you wanted to apply to the evolution of bikes instead of a person, it's so wonderful that you looked up to Yellow the same way, because I think you have the same quality as Yellow of you both really listen to your heart in a way that most people don't. That's one of the best lessons I think I've ever learned from Yellow, is Brian Gavigan listens to his heart really, really well. If his heart is telling him to do something, to say something,
Yellow's going to do it.
He's going to do it. And I think that that's something that you and him have in common. So I'm not shocked that Yellow saw a bit of himself in Oscar, because he's always had that in tune nature with himself, and Oscar clearly does.
I remember second or third concussion. I can't remember which one it was. I think I have 6 real concussions and like probably like another like 5 like mini concussions or.
Yeah, there's like a half dozen baby ones in there that we're not going to count for all of us.
Yellow, we were at Bankhart's backyard dirt jumps and knocked myself out, got up, and like, oh, Start seeing all the little bubbles, all the little stars. And I remember that day I got there through the RTD, through the bus, and it was about an hour and 40 minutes to get from my house to Bankard's house. And I made it for the jam and stuff, and we were riding and stuff, and yeah, I had an uncertified helmet and crashed and knocked myself out, and I didn't know how I was gonna make it back home. And Yellow was going, he was going back home, and so he lives close to Colfax. At the time, I lived close to Colfax, so he took me to his house, and close to his house, we were talking and stuff, and he telling me all these stories about when he used to ride X Games and like how he broke both his wrists and stuff. I'm just like, that's the moment where I'm like, this dude's crazy. That's what I want to be like.
Yeah, it was the craziness that made me want to be like Yellow. That's such a good point.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to send it. And I at that moment I already had the send it mentality. I've always had the send it mentality. Yeah. So just from hearing his stories, I'm just like, holy crap, this dude's like, he's like, he probably went through all the stuff I'm going through right now. Like, he's probably gonna be a real good mentor. To overcome a couple of things he might have encountered that I will encounter throughout BMX riding. It's crazy. Like, Yellow, he's a whole different person.
Yeah, he's a different breed of human being for sure. He's so rad.
Yeah,
he's just
I would say he's like, I grew up in Mexico and everybody's like hugs and stuff and kisses on the cheek and stuff. So
yeah. It's a lot more affectionate culture.
Yes. And I seen that in Yellow, and here in the US I don't see that much, so I'm like, holy crap. Yep.
Yeah, this dude's got a heart 3 times his size, so I'm gonna latch onto this guy.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And Yellow and I always talk about it, like how crazy people live out here in first world countries. They're just focused on making money, on materialistic stuff rather than fulfilling what you want in life. Not what you want in life, but fulfilling what you truly feel like is important to you. Yeah. To truly be happy, because I feel like a lot of stuff, I was telling him about a video I seen, everything was labeled happiness, cigarettes, TVs, cars, all this was labeled happiness, but it's just all artificial. True happiness, I feel like, comes from people to people interactions and not from materialistic stuff.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, man. I totally agree, because it's really easy to get sucked into focusing on external stuff to become happy. And I think that's one of your natural gifts, is because you're so, I guess, acute to what your heart is saying, and you're so aware of it, and you're so in tune with it, that it's just more natural for you to recognize, if I focus on the inside and what my heart's telling me to do, and really lean into what's important to me, I'll find happiness in a way that's a lot more fulfilling, and I'm not always just chasing the next high.
Yeah, because if you're just doing that, you're just going to get to a point where you're like, oh, I need something else, and you're never going to truly get to a point where you're consistently happy.
Yeah, where that joy quota is actually met, and you're not always chasing it. It's just in a place where you're there.
And I remember also one of my first pro contests. It was weird, hanging out with all the pros and stuff, and seeing how some of them were and how some of the other ones were.
Yeah. Because
definitely once you reach a certain level of fame, I feel like people change. And
they certainly can.
I try, once I got to that level, like to actually be riding professional contests, I'm just like, okay, just never forget where you came from. Yeah, I remember my first pro contest was in Mexico for a dirt contest.
I remember watching, being super pumped. I was like, how cool is it that Oscar's first contest is in Mexico? This is the raddest.
Dylan was filming it, that Cuernavaca.
And it was like, and it was hosted, or like kind of brainchild of a different friend of ours. AJ was a big part of making that contest happen.
Ivan, AJ's brother.
Yeah, like it was like such a family affair, and for that to be Oscar's first pro contest, I remember being stateside, just like watching and being so fired up, like, this is the greatest thing. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, I remember it was 20 international pros and 20 national pros from Mexico. So like I just like saw everything, how a lot of people were like getting to a certain level and stuff. I'm just like, I definitely don't want to be like this guy, and I definitely want to be like this guy. Like definitely I was there, and it doesn't matter who it is. It could be this little kid. I'm going to treat him the same as this big pro rider that's been riding for many years. Yeah. Like, just like, I was like, told myself, I'm just never going to be like unreal, like fake emotion, show fake emotions, or like ignore somebody just because they're like not at a certain level or something like that. Like,
yeah, everyone's a person, and therefore they have the same right to be like interacted with, and, and to be kind, and to I think that's a really big.
That's one big thing that my mom taught me. Like, yeah, definitely. Like, you can't ever just like, if you like get to a certain point, you can't act like, oh, I'm too cool for you now.
Yeah, too cool for school.
I don't understand.
What?
Someone sat on a phone.
I don't. It's not necessarily fair to say that all big pros
no.
like that. And it does become one of these things of like, once you're harassed 50,000 times, you kind of just
you get sick of it.
Yeah. It's easy to armchair.
Yes, because there is truth to it. But like I said, there's some real cool riders that are like,
there's a Colton Satterfield who's literally never met Oscar before, and he's like applying ointment to his face after he took a hard crash. And then there's like the opposite side of that spectrum.
Yes, because obviously I'm not gonna say names or some and stuff, but there's guys who are really into themselves, and like,
speaking of someone who's really into themselves, I can understand the temptation for sure. And there's no judgment for. I
think Davin does a good balance of like being into himself but also caring about people.
I don't know if I do as good of a job as I tell myself I do. But thank you. To get on, so we've been super deep, and I've enjoyed how wonderful it's been to kind of explore your incredible brain, because you're so smart and you're such a good guy.
Wait, can we hear the
I was going to say it'd be fun to end with, let's hear one, maybe two fun stories, and then we'll kind of wrap up. I know I have one awesome story I want to share about Oscar, but I want to hear one like fun story from Oscar, and then we'll.
Yeah, before we were recording, he mentioned stealing a.
No.
A friend of his. A friend of his.
Yes, John.
A friend of his allegedly borrowed a city vehicle without permission.
And so I was in middle school, and John.
Your friend John.
My friend John, we were actually in a group, and so John, Frankie, and I can't remember this other guy's name. He was really quiet. He never really spoke. He was just around us. And so Frankie was telling John, man, look at the truck. I bet you won't get in it. And John was like, he was trying to be cool and stuff, and so John's like, yeah, I could do it, watch. So he opened the truck, he got in it, and then they find what would it be called? Kind of like a little mini tablet, but it wasn't a tablet. It was kind of like an agenda. It wasn't a digital
like
agenda.
A Palm Pilot or whatever.
A Palm Pilot, yeah.
Back in the day, yeah.
So Frankie's like, "Hey, take the Palm Pilot." I'm like, "Nah." So John's like, "No." And so John started getting called names and stuff, and so John decided the badass thing to do would be take the truck, since the keys were in the truck.
Of course, the keys were in the truck.
So Frankie, the other guy, and John are in the truck, and they're driving it with a trailer in the back, and
the trailer's still attached.
Before they had ever driven before. Was this their first time driving?
John had driven on a non-road, so John knew how to move the truck. John knew how to move the truck, so John moved the truck, and we went about 2 or 3 blocks, and everybody got scared. So John got off the truck, and Frankie and the other guy, and they all just went back to class and stuff like nothing ever happened. And there we go. We have the cops come in and pull us out of class and stuff. And the only person that got a ticket was Frankie, because he took the Palm Pilot.
What?
And so they were threatening us with expelling us from school. And so here's the crazy stuff. It's like unbelievable how this worked. I don't know, so the dean really wanted me to do wrestling, and I don't know how the deal went or what happened, but it was just the police school that went for us, the cop that we had in the at school.
Yeah.
And so they take us all, they interview us separately, and then the dean's like, if you join wrestling, we could just suspend you guys for a week.
What?
It was actually 3 days.
That's crazy.
It went from a week to 3 days.
Wow.
He had insisted with having me in the wrestling team. And I don't know, if you could do that or how he did it, but we only got suspended for 3 days.
Dude, that's funny, because I know that Yella was a wrestler. Yellow definitely wrestled in high school. And then I was approached by my school's wrestling team constantly. I wonder if it's just like that BMX energy of being tough and dumb. They're like, you would make a great wrestler. Why don't you join the team?
Oh, definitely. I bet you destroyed people.
Yeah, or just I've seen you crash your bike, and that can't hurt any worse than wrestling. Get on in. That's crazy.
So did your friend John join the wrestling team, and was he good at it?
John joined the wrestling team. Actually,
because he'd be an idiot not to.
Yeah, he's like, take that deal.
Jail or wrestling team?
Yeah.
Hard choice.
It was cool because there's no jail. There's just expulsion.
Dude, that's what's
I
up.
had a ticket, and surprisingly, I think we should not. Is this going live?
It's not live.
It's not live. It's okay.
But we don't edit it.
We're not editing.
So if you prefer not to say something, just don't say it.
Yeah. But it's your friend. It's not.
Yeah, this is John that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a distant friend that you haven't talked to in a while.
Yes, it's
part of
it's been many years ago. Well, John just joined the wrestling team. I joined the wrestling team with John. I kicked John's ass.
Yes, that's what I like to hear.
That's awesome.
Frankie got a ticket because he's still a Palm Pilot, and the other guy, I can't remember much of him. I remember, I hooked up with his sister. Yeah,
Fair enough.
High school.
High school. High school might as well just be labeled regret.
This is
that's all high school is.
Hey,
that's a pretty.
I had some fun moments.
All's well that ends well.
Oh my gosh.
So my story I wanted to share about Oscar. Every time I think about Oscar, I think of Oscar at my wedding. We had the best wedding.
That was 6 months ago.
I know, but ever since then, I can't think of Oscar without... Even if it's like, hey, I'm going to text Oscar real fast. The thought of Oscar at our wedding, we had this crazy rager afterwards, the after party at this giant Airbnb. And there was probably 30 people there. And because the wedding was so impromptu and it was a surprise for me, I didn't know half of the people were coming. So it was just so wonderful to see everybody. And all of us are back at the Airbnb. We wake up, and because there's 30 people at this Airbnb, there are people passed out everywhere. And Allie and I are upstairs in the master bedroom, and we keep giggling because we would hear people walk past Oscar on the stairs, and you would just hear, "Oh, Oscar, you are looking good. Heck yeah." And then like 5 minutes later, somebody would be like, "Damn, Oscar, sexy as hell." And then like a couple minutes later, you'd hear another weird compliment like that. And so finally I'm curious enough, and I get out of bed and I walk down the stairs, and he's just in this bay window, sitting in a chair, just soaking up the sun, leaned back, like just the most machismo a human being could possibly have. White linen shirt open, chest bare, sunglasses on, just enjoying the sun, just stoic. Like, it was the greatest thing.
Light coming through the window going,
oh yeah, you know, absolutely. It could have been painted. It was so perfect.
It was a little bit of a hangover, that's why the sunglasses. And
but you couldn't tell because the machismo.
No, the angel.
It was the greatest.
Part of it.
And
hangovers.
The best part is, like 15 minutes later, once everyone finally started waking up, because we all were awoke by the compliments of Oscar, everyone is just so beat up and from the night before of it's a wedding, so everyone went pretty loose. Oscar just starts cooking like a 30-person breakfast, shirtless on the stove, sunglasses on, same machismo, big grin, ear to ear, just loving on people, being the provider that he is. It was amazing. It was every single time I think of you, Oscar, I picture that amazing morning of like, that's who I think of when I think of you, is this amazing confidence mixed with this incredible humility and the good looks and the kindness and the big giant smile and the heart that, like, as soon as everyone was up, you were like, it's time for me to do the right thing. I'm going to make breakfast for a village. And yeah, that's my favorite story of Oscar, is by such a long margin.
I was so happy. To be there. Like, I remember the crazy thing is, it was kind of a surprise for me too, because they had just told me the night before the wedding. And
because probably Oscar doesn't check his texts or...
Yeah, I feel like Oscar much like me and Yellow and Oscar,
Oscar was invited
tough to reach
before, but he maybe didn't get the memo until the day before.
Hey, I respect that game. I'm in the same place.
Yeah, so I figured out you're going to get married the night before, and my tires were blown.
What?
So my tires were blown. I'm just like, I make it to the junkyard. I get some tires. I remember that day they were $10 a tire. I make it, boom, put the tires on, go get them balanced, and up to the mountains I go.
And
that's
just like that.
Yep, it was crazy. Like, I'm just like, it's gonna happen. We're gonna make it to Gavin's wedding. Screw this. I woke up as early as I could, make it first into the junkyard. Got the tires. I was all real dirty because I took the tires off the wheels at the junkyard.
Yep.
And I got to my house and I took my blown tires off, and then I put the new tires on, and I'm just like, I took them as quick as possible to the Mexican tire shop. They got them balanced, and boom.
Dude.
There I go.
That's awesome. That's a new part of the story that I didn't even know, which just adds, another part of Oscar that comes to mind is he's tenacious, he's creative, and he's gonna make things happen if he's committed. Do you have a favorite Oscar story?
Every Oscar story is my favorite story.
Yeah.
I just don't have a memory is the issue.
Well,
I wish I did. I mean, I've loved Oscar since the moment.
Who doesn't?
Met him, but I honestly don't even remember the first time I met him. But it was probably him just flying over some crazy jump, doing some insane trick, and eating shit like no other, and getting up and trying it in.
And then eventually landing it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I still remember opening your car with a random key. Oh, Trey opened your car with a random key?
Yeah, we forgot to tell that story on Trey's podcast. Yeah, we went to the Aurora skate park, and we're hanging. I don't know if I was riding or filming or whatever with Trey, and then I think I had this Ford Focus that I locked the keys in the car for whatever reason because I was just an idiot. And then he's like, "Oh no, we got this," and he takes somebody else's, like all Ford keys, and at this time it was like a 2001 Focus or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, any Ford key from that era can open other doors, and so he just like, I don't know if it was his car or somebody else's car. He just sticks the key in, and you just like bump it, and it opens it.
No.
It was the craziest thing. I was like, there's no fucking way this is going to work. And it worked within 5 seconds.
That's amazing.
Like, legitimately.
I had that same year Ford Focus.
Aurora,
I want to try this now.
You know, Aurora is known for not being the best part of town. So, like, and me being from Parker, which is like the
It's an affluent place.
Yeah. Not that we were, but it just is. Like, to me, that was just mind-blowing. Like, oh, I would have I thought I was just done. Like, I didn't know it. And Trey was like, no, we got this. 5 seconds. Bam.
Bam.
I am going to try this the moment this podcast ends because the locks in my car, my same year Ford Focus, are different than the ignition key.
What?
So I'm going to try it immediately.
Let's not break the key, though.
I have several spares.
Cool.
Well, we're about out of time. So a fun place that we like to end this, Oscar, when you think of the word joy, what comes to mind? It's just like a fun, happy place to end it. It doesn't have to be a cool story or anything like that. It's just genuinely a place where you can remember where joy comes from and share it with everyone.
I feel joy comes from, for me, is with being with the people I love. Like, more than anything, there's nothing that's gonna beat being with the people I love, even if it's a bad moment, if it's a regular moment, or if it's a good moment. Like, I mean, because we're gonna overcome something if it's a bad moment, and we're gonna make a regular moment a real badass moment. So more than anything, just being with the people I love is what brings joy to me. Like, totally, like, forgetting about everything else and just being with the homies.
Heck yeah. I can respect that. That's for sure.
Totally.
So glad you were able to join us today. We've been
Thank you guys
so pumped to have you on. You're one of my favorite people in the entire world. So this is my moment. You're my Colton Satterfield. That's what's happened. So thank you so much for joining us, dude.
Thank you guys for having me. It's awesome. Like I said, it's shit, man. Right now, it's a real good moment. Like, for me, I'm enjoying myself. Like, just getting this stuff out and talking about it. Like, it's a real good time.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, Oscar.
Till next time. Sweet. So we're just going to record a quick little 10-second intro, and then we're going to move that poster to that wall, and we'll take a silly photo, and then we're good.
Sweet.
Well done. So you don't have to do anything for this. It's just us.
Sorry, I had to bail a couple times.
Oh, no, you
Your back.
Is that
no,
back?
it's just my leg cannot be bent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to lay down on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It has to just be straight. It's crazy. It's all right now, but
just the smallest move and it sets itself off.
It wasn't even the move. It's just being bent because I've just had to lay down for the past 2 days, and then it's been 2 weeks, so I've been laying down a lot. But
dude, I have a straight leg cast
insane.
Or brace thing. Would that help?
No, because it's here.
It's not the knee.
It hurts here, but being straight, it makes it worse unless this is straight.
Okay. Cool.
So it's just like I'm trying to like lay back here. Whatever.
Yeah.
We made it through. You guys
made it happen.
Did good.
Word. So we'll record this real fast, and then we'll be good.
You know, one of my favorite stories is how Dylan made it back with all his camera equipment from that contest.
That is a great story. We might have a couple extra minutes on the back end of this because that's a good story.
We can, if you know more of that story, I know Danny Josen knows a lot of it, and so I was kind of saving it for him.
All right, yeah, we'll save it for Danny.
If you know a lot of it, because Danny was in. I know Danny was in it from the beginning. Were you in it from the beginning?
I was in there from the first, Jack
shot.
Daniels shot when you walked in there.
Okay, so.
Okay, I don't know where the beginning starts because.
So the beginning was with Danny because we were, and I don't know if you were there. We were outside the hotel. This was like right after the contest. It was early in the night, very early.
So you didn't get hammered at the VIP party.
That put me over the edge. But so the beginning was Danny, Josa, and a couple of other of us were like just hanging out outside the hotel, and he just hollers at these girls like, "Yo, girl, what up?" And in any other scenario, that literally never works.
That never works, but
it never works. But for him at this moment, it did. And these two girls just be like, because we're the only white people. This is not like Cancun. This is like middle Mexico, like only white people around. And so he hollers at these girls. They turn around like, "Yo, what up?" And they start talking for a little bit. And they're like, "Oh, my brother owns this bar. You should come party with us, like right now." And then so we just do. We go to this bar, a couple blocks away, and it just drinks and drinks and drinks. And for free, of course, because we're like the...
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, it's... Yeah.
It's the BMX
It's the bike riders.
Exactly, yeah.
Everybody
that has gotten
brother
all
owned
of us into a decent amount of trouble.
I mean, and this, like, we're not even...
Yeah.
I don't know. It just went crazy. And I don't necessarily remember a lot, but I know my flight was at, like, 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or
5
something.
or something like that.
5 or 6 a.m.
Or
and
actually,
so
it was a little earlier because
the shuttle, because this was Mexico City, but we were like 2 hours away.
Yeah,
from
and you
the
had
airport.
to leave earlier.
So yeah,
that's true.
The shuttle from the hotel to the airport was at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and so of course we're just gonna party until then and go to this flight, and so we're at her brother's bar for a while. We get toasted there, and then go to the actual after party of this contest, where again, of course, it's free, and there's just literally bottles everywhere of everything, and they just dump it down your throat because
so
that's just what
the course builder, he doesn't drink. He does not drink a single drop of alcohol, or he didn't at that time, and he's pouring shots of Jack Daniels with tequila on everybody. And I'm just like...
That is the worst decision.
Right, it's instant blackout for people that are already blacked out.
Oh, man.
And I see Dylan, and I'm like, Dylan! And everybody yells Dylan, you remember? Like, Dylan!
Dylan the villain is a quasi-famous...
It's a thing.
Boom.
BMX.
Here comes Jeremy to start spraying down Jack Daniels down Dylan's throat. It was the craziest thing because Dylan can party. Dylan can party.
He'll cowboy up if the situation is needed.
I don't know. I mean, I
think you've grown since then.
Well, so I've seen photos. I don't remember this, but Danny Jose has shown me photos of me having exchanged clothing with girls at this party.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
It was a good time.
So he's told.
So I'm told. Nothing happened.
Nothing crazy happened
because we were blacked out, and I had a 3 a.m. shuttle, and then I was blacked out from the beginning. So I also have my job was to film this contest, so I have all these cameras and all this stuff. that luckily I had like packed up and ready to go in my hotel room, and somehow
a responsible partier.
Yes, I am responsible in that case. So somehow at 3 a.m, somebody, I'm thinking it's Danny because he wasn't drinking, and then Ryan Galvin, who was there taking photos, and my roommate in the hotel, they somehow got me back to the hotel and then helped me grab my gear and onto this shuttle. And so I get to the airport at 5 a.m. or whatever, and still blackout wasted. I kind of remember. I think I went and like checked my bags and then got in security and forgot I had checked my bags and thought I didn't. So then thought I didn't have a ticket, so got out of line, went back to the desk and like bumbled something to them. I need a ticket. They're like, you got your ticket. So I get back in security line, vomit into the trash can of security line, somehow make it to security, and then luckily thought to set an alarm, because I get there a little bit early, but set an alarm for when the plane is about to take off, pass out, alarm goes off, wake up, get on the plane, black out until I land in LAX, which it was only like an hour or two flight, and it's 8 a.m. at LAX, and I'm still blackout wasted. Get to my car, and I'm like, there's no way I can drive home. I live an hour away in Huntington. There's no possible way I can drive home right now. So I'm like, all right, I'll just lean my chair back and pass out. I lean back. 30 seconds later, a plane flies over. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm by an airport. 30 seconds later, another airplane goes over. I'm like, there's no way I'm sleeping. So I make a silly decision, and I don't recommend this to anybody, but I drive home from LAX on Sunday morning, completely wasted, get home at like 9 or 10 in the morning, walk into my house. My roommates are like, how was the contest? I'm like, oh, I'm still wasted, so I think it was pretty good.
Oh my God.
And then I
can't believe you drove.
You know, the craziest, like, I've never seen Dylan get wild ever. Like, so
that would be a fun thing.
That's the crazy thing, because he was dancing to Mexican music with this. She was a thicker girl, but she was a really beautiful, thicker girl.
Yeah, dude. Everyone likes a thicker milkshake. That's just more ice cream in a milkshake.
I don't. Because I did not exchange clothes with a thicker girl, because obviously that wouldn't have worked.
No.
So obviously I was just.
But you were dancing with a thicker girl, and you got your face smashed by some big fat tits.
What?
Thicker girl, yes.
Oh my God!
I remember first time hearing about this.
I remember seeing that. I'm just like,
probably 5 years ago.
Oh my God, Dylan!
Dude, I feel like everyone
this was 5 years ago, and this is the first time hearing of it.
And everyone who's been friends with Dylan has a first time they saw Dylan get loose, because everyone who knows Dylan, unless they met very recently, knew a very different human being.
And I'm just like freaking out, because I've never seen, like, I've always known you so serious, like, my whole life.
Yeah, like reserved, quiet. He's gonna interject when there's something important
and
to say.
You gain some big old fat ones on your face. I'm like, oh my God, yes, Dylan, yes.
That's just terrible.
Oh my God. There's another time where I was like, yes, Dylan. I can't remember right now, but that's one of the times I'm just like, my boy Dylan's got it.
Dude,
and these chicks bailed out on you guys.
That is
like they went to the
crazy.
restroom and like you guys moved or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he could barely stand. It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I just remember that one.
Bonus content, right there. A little bonus story of Dylan the villain.
Dylan the villain.
Story, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's record this.
And you still gave me a high five because I smashed this other girl, and he was like, "Oh my God, you got that girl!" And I'm like, "Yep."
Dude, that's hilarious.
I do remember hearing that story. Yes.
Gosh.
I remember Oscar's story more than my story.
Well, I have a game night to get to. Speaking of Joy Quota, so we'll get this intro going. All right.
Peace.